back. Got the engine torn down and got my bearings in. So I ordered these off IPD. Got some main bearings and some rod bearings. What we're going to do right now is clean everything up, check oil clearances, make sure the bearings are the right size and there's no issues. We're going to do that with some Plastigauge. So this stuff right here, it's a little strip and it lets you know how wide it is, or what the crush gap is when there's after you torque everything down. So I've got everything cleaned up. I'm going to remove all the bearings out of here, and I have I've put some bits of old fuel line on the threads to protect everything. Alright, so that's our main bearings out. And now our rod bearings. Don't want to drop these or break these or start any sort of hectic, but these are they're worn, but they're in pretty good shape. So I think we shouldn't have any issues throwing this stuff in, throwing these back in, assuming our bearings are of reasonable quality. So I'm going to do a little bit of brake clean. Just make sure everything's clean. You want everything to be nice and perfect. The smallest piece of dirt can affect all of this. Alright, those are pretty good. Got most of the engine parts laid out on the bench. Yeah, these bearings are actually, they're definitely worn. There's a little bit of scoring in there, but overall, could be in worse shape. And so these guys came, the main caps came stamped from the factory. I stamped the rods just so I know that they go with the same rod. And that also helps me orient them as well. That way I know which way things come out. Now we're going to make sure we take care of our crankshaft. But probably should be good. I'm going to flip this just to see what the underside looks like. Alrighty then. Alright, we have the main bearings right here. Just bring that up. They look pretty standard. All of them have the same oil holes as far as I know. so we don't have to worry about too much about orientation. But so I'm going to just lay these in, as well as the crank bearings, or the rod bearings. Stick those in there, and then I'm going to torque everything up. And we'll have a little piece of plastic aid on each one. A little bit of that. Put it there. Just be putting a teensy bit of this stuff on each of the journals. And then we're going to be torquing it. From what it looked like, torque spec is 90 foot-pounds. Or 12 to 13 kilogram meters. So whenever you're doing anything like this, you always want to start from the middle and work your way outwards in steps. In stages. I just got an absolute number for final torque. So I'm going to sort of split the difference. So it's 90 foot-pounds. I'm going to set it to maybe 50 foot-pounds and then 90. So I might need to get a half-inch drive torque wrench. But for this purpose, I'm just going to torque it to 80. Well, I guess technically I can get this thing to 90 because I'm at 80 now. I'm at 85, and that's technically 90. Jesus. I'm gonna dial back to 85 just in case. Or 80. Just in case I've hit like a mechanical limit. I don't want to snap the bolt. Okay, so these are now all torqued. They're not quite at 90, but as far as the bearing crush goes, it shouldn't matter all that much. Always undo from the ends. It is hot here right now. I think the high today is about 100 degrees. That's, I don't know what in Celsius, 35 or something. I don't know. Pretty gosh darn hot. Okay, I need one of these. So now I'm going to pull the caps off. I got really concerned for a second because I saw a spot where it wasn't squished, but that's just where an oil passageway is. Probably shouldn't have just put them all in the dead middle. Because half of them are barely even squished. They all seem to be squished about the same, so that's a relief. Well, they all look to be about 2 thou, and that's exactly what we want. So, I mean, we're in luck. I'm just got to peel that gook off. Clean that up. So now, gonna put the caps on lightly. Just gonna let it kind of free spin and do its thing. Put the caps on lightly and check the same thing for the rod bearings. But since you've seen that process, I think I'm just gonna do that off camera. Okay, so got the rods on with the bearings in, and they're torqued up. Found some different torque specs that include the rods. Those we want torqued to 63 Newton meters, or about 46.5 foot-pounds. And those also that source also suggested torquing the mains to 110 Newton meters, which is about 81 foot-pounds. So I think I was pretty close with the mains before, so we're good. But either way, we're going to pull these rods off, or pull the rod caps off. Just going to crack these loose. Yeah. Eventually I'll get better at spinning that. I do not want to drop one of these nuts into here. I don't know if you saw, but I did one before when I was first taking it apart. Okay. It's definitely a lot tighter. Actually put these back in order. Worst thing I can do is mix them up. Well, I don't know where that last one went. I think it may have fallen off. It's not stuck to the bearing. Anywho, got our plastic gauge. Looks like I'm about 1.5 thou there. Just about 1.5 thou there. About 1 thou there, and that one went missing. So I think we'll trust that. So this all seems to be pretty good. So that's all pretty good. So now I'm going to undo these main caps and we're going to schlaz it all in assembly lube. Got some engine assembly oil. Gonna just schlaz. Oh. Need to open it first. Some nice sticky stuff. And this is going to be what makes magic happen. Schlaz that on there. Old cherry sauce. So this will help with initial startup. Just be a nice heavy oil that coats all the bearings. It's pretty sticky. Reminds me, since mostly I'm in the bicycle industry, reminds me of Philwood Tenacious Oil. Just got that stickiness to it. I don't know if you can see that. Stringy bits. Just rotate the cam around just so we can get that all nice and lubricated. Okay, that's pretty good. So now I'll drop crankshaft in. As well as that one. Okay. And at least on this engine, the tangs, this little guy, on the rod bearings, they touch each other. So the other one is equal and opposite there. They don't go on opposite sides. At least that's the way this one came out. So that's the way it's going back in. Just a little extra. There we go.